Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Great Awakening Generator. I'm your host, Rose McNair. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you to Sheetal from Functional Health, who's joining me today to tell you about something really wonderful. Welcome, Sheetal.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am doing really good. Thank you. Really
That's
good.
good. That's really good to hear. Sheetal, has it been a busy day so far?
Today has been a busy day in terms of a lot going on, but in a fun way. A lot of events, planning. Yeah.
Yeah. On the few occasions I've met you, I really like your vibrance and your energy. You never say anything that implies that it's not a good day. And you got a lot of energy, obviously, because you're doing so many things. Yeah.
I'd like to add on to that because I feel like it goes back to the mindset. I always tell this to everyone that I see and communicate with. What good or bad is literally just our own stories, right? So it's just an event. Events happen, and it's up to us if we think it's good or bad. So yeah.
Yeah, you create your own reality. Attitude is everything. Yeah. I've got a friend who always says attitude determines your altitude.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. So Sheetal, today we're talking about functional health. Now, I would like you to tell us a little bit about functional health and what your connection to functional health is. For our audience, functional health is a business that functions out of or operates out of East Auckland. And whilst it is operating out of East Auckland, we are doing the YouTube discussion because functional health does do work online as well. So did I get that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, great. So I like the word functional because it means moving parts, moving, all that. And I like health because when you say functional health, it means your health is moving. And in my head, it's always about progression, and that means positivity. So that is why I thought you should come and share a little bit about what functional health does, so that we can let other people know that it's available to them, be it in person or online. So back to my question then, and I asked you to pardon me because I do speak a lot. What is functional health and what is your connection to it?
You wrote it very well there when you talked about functional means moving, and health, right? I love the way you wrote it there. But yeah, functional health is a practice that I own. We have chiropractors and naturopaths here. Our main goal, or the way we look at things, is to get the human body, or whoever we see, functioning at their best, right? So of course, people come in complaining about any kind of symptom, whether it's digestion, because if it's a naturopath, or if it's got to do with body pain or anxiety, whatever it is. But you realize with humans, it's never a problem until it's starting, like pain will always exist. You might be driving around, oh, got some wrist pain, whatever, just keep driving around until it starts stopping you from doing something you want. So now you're not being functional. So that's where functional health, that name comes in. So it allows you to be functional, because pain is going to be ongoing in our life, right? It comes and goes depending on our injury, depending on what we've been eating. But to make sure body doesn't stay stuck in a state of specific kind of pain, but to be able to regulate the cells. And that's what functional health is about, to get the body regulating and being in a functional state where you can be super healthy and express our best selves.
Yes, I like that introduction to it. And you're the owner of Functional Health. OMG. You look quite, yeah, I'm going to get caught out on this when I say they're going to be ageist, but you don't look old enough to own a business. And again, yeah, I'm going to admit, well, I did say the ageist thing, and I'm sorry, but, I'm going to have to say that because I think it's an inspiration when young people are getting involved in business like this, and they're showing us a lot more of what is out there, and it's such an inspiration to see it. So tell me a little bit about you, how you come to be the owner of Functional Health. Not all the nitty gritty, but I mean, do you know what I mean? How did you end up working there, I think, and then now you own it?
Well, it kind of fell into place, to be honest. This might sound a bit out there, but when, we'd always kind of, in college, we were kind of made to do a little goal about what kind of place we're going to practice in and kind of visualize this. And it wasn't that we always did this in university, but one of our exercises was that one class. And funnily enough, when I was working somewhere else, this place advertised that they're looking for someone to join the team. I just came along, even though I was already working somewhere. I was only 5 months into this new place. The other place I was working at, came along. I was like, oh, this place, the way everything I just told you about, functional health, getting people to, and it created a nice family community vibe, and the way everything looked. I was like, this is what I visioned myself working at. So then I ended up ditching the place. I only worked for 5 months joining here. And then a while later, a year and a half later, the owners told me they were thinking of selling it. And eventually I ended up buying it. And why I say it fell into place is because initially I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to be an owner and boss people and do things that have all that responsibility. But then I thought about all these people I follow who say, you're never going to be ready. But when you take this step, you start taking action to prepare yourself, and you're as ready as you're ever going to be right now in this moment. If you think about you're never ready, then you're never going to be ready. So then I thought about that, and I thought about the business owners are now like real good friends of mine, so they're always supporting me as well. And yeah, I love that, having a supportive community that that we have in East Auckland.
We do, we certainly do. I love it. I just love how you explained that. I like the philosophy you're living by, because we need to, things don't have to take 20, 25 years to happen. They can happen here and now, just by taking the first step, like you're saying. Yeah, wonderful. So functional health, you mentioned chiropractor, you mentioned naturopath. And I mean, I always think of a naturopath as somebody who will look at natural remedies in terms of diet, will do assessments based on diet and nutrition and all of that, and prescribe medicine, natural medicine, according to what is necessary. And I mean, they have a very important place to play in our society, and more so now than ever before. But I want to talk today about the chiropractor part of this, because I know that is your speciality. And next time when we speak, we can get one of the naturopaths to join us, and they can talk about naturopath, because that is their field. And so who better to speak about it than the one who's actually doing it? But today we'll talk about the chiropractor side of it. So what is a chiropractor, and what is chiropractic?
If you take chiropractic back down to its purest, corest, when it first started, it is basically about letting the person express their best self. And chiropractors focus originally fully back on just the central nervous system. So that's the brain and the spinal cord, and making sure that is able to, because all the nerves from the brain spinal cord come out to each and every part of the body, right? Your fingertips, your organs, your muscles. So it's not just about muscle aches, it's all organ function, everything. So making sure that the central nervous system is able to really flow at its best without any interference. So that's when they look at the spine and how it functions, because the spine, just like the skull holds the brain, the spine also encompasses the spinal cord. So at its chorus, that's what chiropractors mainly focus on. But as we go out, graduate, do a lot more, learn a lot more, we begin to incorporate a lot more things. But yeah, its chorus, the chiropractors work on making sure a human body is able to function at its best, express its optimal potential through making sure the spinal cord is able to, the nerves are able to do the proper job, nervous system.
Okay. So that means if I was to come to you, I would have a complaint. We talked about pain before, right? And all of us know about pain. We injure ourselves, or we just get inflammation in a joint, and at some point or the other, we've experienced it. So if I was to come to you and I say, well, look, I've got some real pain in my ankle, and I come to you and you say, well, all right, Rose, let's see what we can do for you. So what you would do is obviously do an assessment of this ankle. You will look at the history of, was there an injury recently, that kind of thing. And then you would diagnose from that history, from what is currently happening, you would diagnose a treatment plan for me, right? Is that right?
Yeah, yes, and I'd like to add a lot more to that. So,
Good.
so we, like I said, we're looking at the nervous system. So the nerves, I know a lot of chiropractors also do neuromuscular dysfunction and look at how well the nerves are firing into the muscles around that. Posture analysis and seeing how biomechanically, how your spine and the pelvis is sitting, because the ankle, some people say a lot of tension usually starts centrally from the body, and then it spreads out. So if the center is not right, then everything else is going to compensate to support that, and eventually gets there. So I look at your pelvis alignment as well, your hips, and see how that could be impacting the knee and ankle, taking pressure off that as well. And sometimes you find that just working on the pelvis and hips will change the knee, because that's the ankles are taking the load from that area. But then, of course, I'll assess the ankle, like you said, and work on what could be going on there.
Okay, so I ask these questions in detail because I do like simple explanations like that, because it articulates better for people listening and watching what exactly it's about, because anybody can go and look at the word chiropractor or what is chiropractic. But who's got time for that these days? If somebody's talking about what they're offering, then they have the best people to say, this is what we offer, this is what we do. But what I'm hearing from this is you'll find solutions for relief from pain through that practice. You'll do the assessment, you'll find methods to relieve the person or me from pain when I come to you. So, it is the one thing I haven't had. I've had physiotherapy and I've had acupuncture, and it's the one thing I haven't had. And I probably should come along and have some treatment, so I get a better feel of it. So when somebody comes to you and they get this diagnosis, what is your philosophy about that? Do you have people coming in for years, or what is your philosophy? I mean, I guess you can't have a one size fits all philosophy, but you tell me.
Before you answer that, I'd like to say what I talked about with the pelvis misalignment and the hips and the ankles, that's just more the physical aspect and trying to simplify it. There's a lot more going on. Obviously, if I went into a lot more detail, I can say that me working on your neck can also impact the ankle, but that's a lot more having to explain the nerves and the fascia system. But yeah, so that was a lot more of a simplified version to explain. And to answer your question, yes and no. So like you said, not one size fits all, right? So yeah, I will tell people what we kind of talk about. And a lot of chiropractors do this. There's the first part where you tend to look at just what's going on. But if you take a step back, like I said, what's going on in the ankle wasn't something that happened since you were born. It's been happening for a while. So that's why I'll assess the whole body and see what's going on there. And it will take a couple of visits. Maybe we tend to work with a 12-week time frame to help with unwinding of the tension. And then after unwinding tension, then there's also helping the body improve its function. So once you've got your body, if it's really twisted and tensed up, then giving people exercise and function like that's going to help mobilize things for sure. But your body's still in the stuck position. So it's about what we focus on, at least at Functional Health, is opening up the system first, unwinding this tension that you've built on for years and years. And then from there, getting the system to function better, teach it new ways, give it exercises. And exercise can be physical, can be breath work, can be writing things down, like journaling. I incorporate all these different things in the work I do. And after that, the years thing comes onto the person, because they begin to be like, some people will decide, yep, I'm just going to come when I have pain, if I want it, if I have pain. Some people will decide to, and this is a lot of people who actually end up coming in for years. I've had people coming in for 6 years or so at the practice I own now, because they decide that they realize that, like I said, your body starts to create patterns, hold habits. And this is part of the body's job. But do you really want to be stuck in a pattern? Does your nervous system want to be stuck in I just almost got hit by a car, and then stay in that pattern for the rest of its life? or be able to come out of it and get regulated. And hence why some people choose to get the appointments once every week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on the person, what they want.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that quite often pain is the manifestation of things that are really deep down and underlying. And so when it's not dealt with, it seems like it manifests in pain of some joint or some part of the body. And generally when somebody has this experience, or like, I mean, pain can be the result of accidents too, we know that. But like if it prolongs and things like that, then I suppose it's looking deeper and finding out, okay, so this pain that's going on here, is it just about that surface injury, or is it something more that's below the surface that's going on? And quite often we find, because the body, go on.
But even if we look at the physical, like, you know, if you just had an injury, the level of pain, like scientifically, this is done, there's so much research into this. The pain levels will vary depending on the person because of the state the body's in. So if you're being under so much stress, getting a punch into the arm could be the most terrible pain ever because your body's in already fight or flight state. So that's and you might get more of a bruising versus someone who's really, really, really happy, punch into the arm, okay. And versus again, a state of the body will also be included into someone who's used to, because that's what they do training. So injuries, yes, but that also goes into what your body's feeling and what chemicals are being released by the brain, therefore making the body feel a certain way.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very holistic way of looking at it, isn't it? You're not just looking at the one thing. And okay, so and I like that what you're saying there, because it's saying, well, we all respond differently. Maybe 3 of us would have had an ankle injury, but 3 of us are not coming out to exactly the same in terms of our response to it. It depends a lot on what was happening with the body at the time, or what was happening with the mindset even, or, you know, what was going on. So yeah, no, I like that. That's very good. I like knowing that if I'm going to a practitioner, they are open-minded and they will be looking at me in a holistic way of how they can help me, because it's not going to be, oh, you've got an ankle injury, let's just go try and patch it up and fix it and help you to, you know, to release the pain from that. Because quite often if it's underlying issues, like if it's emotional and all of that, or if the body has been under a lot of stress, it's not going to get healed within the time frame that it normally, if the body was not under that kind of stress, right? It will take longer, for example.
Yeah. The more I got distracted by someone walking past by.
Okay.
The more you learn, I just want to add on to this when you're speaking, the more you learn, the more you realize holistic is just another word, because people don't see it that way, but it's just realistic. It's literally, it's like, this is true facts.
Yeah. We're also saying we have chain reactions. We're also saying that we are quite sensitive beings. And when we have an experience, not only do we have it in the outward sense, but so many other things are triggered within us, in the mind, in the brain, in the body, the cells, all of that. So I guess that's the thing. We are learning more and more that health is it's very good to look at health in a holistic way rather than just that one issue, because, you know, it's not only about that, because sometimes looking at just the one issue is just putting a band-aid on it. That's something that's going to start oozing again or whatever, right? Yeah, I like that we're talking about that chiropractor aspect of things, because I feel it's, you know, we're talking about well-being, self-love, talk, you know, all of those things. I'm really promoting the idea of that. I do it through the radio, and I'm doing it through this channel as well. And I do love it when people share these thoughts, because it's giving our audience an opportunity to hear it maybe more than once and in different ways. So I appreciate you explaining it like that. So I was going to ask you about, so if somebody wanted to come and see you, they can go online, right? And make a booking through the online process, right?
Online process would, yes.
Right, so they could do it online, or they could call the office or the reception desk and make an appointment there. You told me about how it works. You've given me an example of a model of how you would deal with somebody who comes to you for help or assistance. Is there anything more you want to tell us about the model you use? Because I'm sure there's not one model that's used for everybody. It's always about individualistic.
Yeah. So yes, I love this answer. Yes and no. Yes, so it's different for every person, but no, because we're all humans and we all have had a history of things that shape us. So where the no comes in for me, as in, yes, I look at everyone as an individual person because your history is different to someone else's history, but all of us have had things that shape us. So that's the thing that we all need to understand. And that's the one similarity that comes in where your body has been shaped, so it needs time to unwind the tension first, and then given time to create new patterns. So that's where the similarity part comes in, to understand that unwinding comes in. But it's another thing I do is I work with it's not many people do work with this technique, but it's called neuro-emotional technique. So that's looking at events that have happened in your life and your body. It looks at the emotional aspect, how neurologically your brain would have reacted. And then if you pushed it away, the event, you know what, I'm just going to ignore it, I'm fine. Then that means you haven't processed it. And if you haven't processed it, you've stored it somewhere in the system.
That's right.
And that's another thing we tend to work with on people. And it's something different technique.
Yeah, great. I like that. I like that technique. Yeah. So what kind of, I know this is a strange question, what kind of people come to see you, Sheetal? I mean, like, when I say what kind of people, I'm not being like, what kind of people are they that come to see you? No, I'm like, okay, so what kind of people would come to see you? What is it? Age group? Is it, I know we've got the demographics in terms of we've got local people, but like, I mean, you tell me. I'm going to stop
our
guessing.
niche, our typically people that we typically see. That would be a lot of people have anxiety for a very long time, so chronic pain. I specifically myself, I tend to attract a lot of, when I say attract, I just mean I end up seeing a lot of younger people who have had anxiety for a long time, or older people. What's the word I want to look for? There's a lot going on in the system typically. So a lot going on, or busy mums, or our physically active males a lot as well. That's the one. So it varies. And then of course a little baby sometimes mums bring them in after just being born. So
so I think when you've got young men that are into sports, they'll be probably coming in with injuries and things like that. And then
or to make sure that they can, because when it comes to physically active people who go to the gym or play sports, they already have the goal to make sure they want to maintain their health so that they can maintain the activity they do. So that's where their goals come into play.
Okay. All right. So it's about making sure my goals, are they being fulfilled? My level of fitness, does it match what I'm trying to do? All of that. And then you use the word anxiety more than once. So I'm assuming that people feel anxious come to see you, and people have chronic pain. Now, we've established the chronic pain, but what's new that you've introduced now is the anxiety thing. So obviously this must mean that anxiousness creates pain in the body?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Anxiousness creates pain in the body for sure. Think about this to everyone listening. When you're a little kid, you don't want to go to school and you have butterflies in your tummy or you feel sore in the tummy. That's you being nervous or anxious and not wanting to go and socialize. So yes, highly stressed or anxious people come because they can have headaches, they have body pain, or they had an injury that the injury's recovered, but the pain's still there. And they have been told by the doctors, by a lot of professionals, that look, there's nothing we can do now. Your injury's recovered. It's been 2, 3, 5 years. You're still in pain. What's happened? So that's when I bring in the NET aspect. I'm like, what happened when you had the injury back then? What was the state of your mind? What happened? Like, what are you holding on to in these joints? I get hyped up for this. But
I can tell it's something you feel pretty passionate about. It's almost like psychology in a way too, right?
Yeah, definitely. And so that's where the anxiety part comes in. And sometimes people would say I'm a very anxious person, and I read in a book somewhere that this helps. So because the nervous system's hyperactive, it's not in a space where it can be regulating.
That's really good help for people, bringing balance into their lives, helping them to overcome this, but through this, I suppose, physical touch and pressure points that you stimulate or whatever, right? Because that's what I'm hearing through what you're saying in terms of what you're offering. Yeah, so that's actually a good thing to do, to come and visit you. The more I'm hearing this, I'm saying that to myself. So yeah, Yvonne, you told me what kind of people come to visit. What about how do people get in touch with you? Give us your details.
Our details, you can find us on Instagram or on Facebook by going on Functional Health. It is all together, one word, Functional Health. And there's no capitals, just that. Otherwise, you can go on our website, www.functionalhealth. Ooh, I think it's .nz. And our email is admin@functionalhealth.nz, and our phone number 095348980. So there's different ways you can get in touch with us.
Yep.
And I'd maybe even add in sometimes to see more of me just talking about things, because in functional health we'll try and keep it more professional, whereas another, if you want to hear me more talk about things, I'm still being professional but still a bit more of a me side, you can also find me on Instagram with Shine with Sheetal. So that was
so you do a little podcast on Instagram, do you, about
not a podcast but just a lot of posts and talk about holistic view of health.
Great
Instagram a lot.
Yeah, I think you really do like the holistic. I'm hearing holistic a lot, and it's interesting. You've got naturopaths there, and who knows what the future is going to be in terms of health again. But yeah, I like it. I really do, because it's enhancing the fact that whilst you need to take care of your body in the physical sense, but also what you put into it is very important. And there's somebody to help and guide you through that process, and it's in the one place. So that's what I like about that. Yeah,
you can't look at it separately. It all comes together. Yeah,
absolutely. So Sheetal, I just want to ask, is there anything else that you want to tell us? I ask all my guests this. Anything else you want to tell us that I haven't asked you about?
I just want to add on to everything you told you about. And I remember hearing, I'm sure everyone knows Jay Shetty, him talking about this once and saying, I love that. He was saying, we all think about physical exercise and we have to train our body, whether we think about losing weight or if we do it to get some functionality in there, but we know we have to train it. The same goes for the mind. And I want to add in, same goes for our guts. And you need to exercise the brain to be able to think a certain way. And therefore, getting in exercises like, whether it means seeing a counselor, seeing someone, a therapist, or journaling, whether that means meditating, but you're practicing that, exercising that brain, and also what you're eating, you're exercising the gut that way as well, whether you're loading up with a lot of inflammatory stuff or having good balance. So to live a functional life, look at things overall, and it doesn't come, your body is not just a physical thing, it's not just your muscles. Sorry, it is physical, but it's not just your muscles. There's also your gut, there's also your blood, there's also the oxygen, the breath work, and the brain, and a lot more.
I think it's fair to say the body's not just a physical thing, because part of the physical thing is that a lot of what's happening in the physical that manifests in the physical, if you have a good mindset, and if you have good memories, and if you're happy, your physicality seems to project that. You feel well in your body. So it's not just about physical, it's about other things within this physicalness, because the body, the cells hold the memory of the experiences that we had, and as a result, or that we've had throughout time or whatever, and it's that which then brings out health issues or not. So that was the right thing to say, I think.
The only reason I stopped myself was because the great thing with science these days is it shows you that your thoughts isn't just a thought like out there, it's chemical reactions, and so that is part physical, and then your gut is also physical. So then I'm like, okay, I can't, it is all part of.
I understand.
And it sounds easier for the person who's might be hearing this as well.
True. I have to say that, you know, a lot of the people that watch this channel are people who do believe this, that they are into this thing of, you know what, whatever my body's manifesting, it's whatever's happening on the inside or in the mind or in the gut. But yeah, so really, really good to talk to you, Sheetal, today. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you're a busy person, and I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you for joining me. Was there anything else you want to tell us before you say goodbye? Like remind us again where you can be contacted, and then we will wrap it up.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this. I enjoyed it. And yeah, one of the biggest passions, literally the big passion that drives me, is to show people how powerful they can be and how easy it is to actually become what you want to be, to achieve what you want to. So this is another way to do that. Thank you. And a way to contact us is through, again, just an email, remind you of the email, admin, so ADMIN, admin@functionalhealth.nz, or you can call us on 09-534-8980.
Great, thank you. Well, everybody, I will put the email and the email address and the web address in the description box for you. So if you didn't get it, we will be putting it in there so that you do get it. And, you know, go along and see Sheetal if you are physically here in East Auckland, if you need this kind of support, which I think is really good. It's another angle to apply to make sure you're well. But also, you do online. This is what I mean to ask. You do online consultations too, don't you?
Yes,
and
so our naturopath sees people through Zoom, and also the NET things I do, the NET services is also through Zoom available.
Yeah. So say that word, say the word for the NET stuff, please. What does it mean?
Neuro-emotional technique.
Yes, thank you. The neuro-emotional technique.
Yeah.
That's a very good one, I think. Very good for this time and space. Yeah, very good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Sheetal, for coming along and having a chat with me today. Please feel free to come back. You're very welcome here. Yeah, great.
Thank you so much.
All right, so time to love and leave you. And thank you for joining me on the Great Awakening Generator. I'm Rose McNair. Goodbye, everyone.